Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we are working on finding slope and the y-intercept. We use the equation that is very popular, y equals mx plus b. You will hear your teacher say y equals mx plus b multiple times throughout this unit, so make sure you always pay attention, you understand what it means. This is called the slope-intercept form of an equation. That's also very important. It's the slope-intercept form of an equation, where the graph is a line with a slope of m and b is my y-intercept. Now, we've already defined slope. Slope is the slant or the steepness of a line. But b is our y-intercept. And before this, we had a y-intercept of 0, 0, which means that it was a proportional line. 0 was when the y-intercept crossed at the point of 0, 0. But b is the y-intercept for a non-proportional line. The y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so let's write down that definition real quick. Where the line crosses y-axis. Now, if you know your slope and you know your y-intercept, you can then write down. Now, you already know two ways to find slope from a graph. One way is rise over run, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if I were to do rise over run, I would have to go from this dot up 1, 2, and I have to go left 1, 2, 3. So that would be up 2, left 3, which would be negative 2/3. Now if I did y2 minus y1, I would have 6 minus 4 over negative 3 minus 0. 6 minus 4 is 2. Negative 3 minus 0 is negative 3. So either way, I get the answer of a slope of negative 2/3, which you can see right here. The other thing, will you get the same answer for both? Yes, you do. Does it matter which one you use? No, it doesn't. You can choose to count rise over run, or you can find the difference of y's over the difference of x. There are also two ways to find the y-intercept of a graph. The first one is either find it on the graph. So graph, okay, the line, okay, either graph the line or plug in 0 for x. Because remember, the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. And where that is, 0 is always going to be in the x spot. 0 is always going to be in the x spot. So that's an important idea for you. So for this line, m is negative 2/3. My y-intercept right here, b is 4. Positive 4, because it's above 0. Okay, let's flip this over. Ooh. All right, now we have this point right here where x is 0. Okay, where x is 0, I go up 1. So my y-intercept, b equals 1. Okay. My slope, rise over run. I have to rise 1, 2, 3, 4. I go up 4. Go up 4. And I go left 2. So negative 2. Now, 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2, and my y-intercept is positive 1. My y-intercept for this one, ooh, we better make sure we pay attention to our lines here. It's 0, something, negative 10, something, negative 20. So I know that this would be negative 15. My y-intercept is negative 15. This time, just to make sure I'm not confused, I'm going to do y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. So y2 is negative 15 minus 0 and 3, 0 minus 3. 15 divided by negative 3 is a positive 5. So my slope is positive 5. Now I meant to go back and write down the equation for this one. The equation is going to be y equals negative 2 x plus. The equation for this one, the slope is 5, so we are going to use y equals 5x minus 15. I could put plus and negative 15, but it just seems kind of a waste to have two signs, so I just do minus 15. I'm going to leave those next two for you to do so you can practice. Now, when you're working with an equation, finding the y-intercept and finding this slope is actually kind of easy. You got to see which is the coefficient for x. The coefficient for x is always my slope. So this one, my slope is 2. This one, my slope is negative 0.5. Don't write it as a decimal. Change that to a fraction, negative 1/2. This one, my slope is 1/4. And this one, my slope is, ooh, they try to trick me, 4. My y-intercept is the constant after the x, or on the same side as the x. So this, my b will be positive 3. My y-intercept will be negative 4. My y-intercept will be positive 3. And my last one, my y-intercept will be 2.